All right, and joining us on News Now to make sense of the debate still ongoing about the Edo Governorship election legal battle is Bobby. Many thanks for being with us on News Now.
Thank you.
So quickly, let's start with your reaction to the judgment of the tribunal. What's your take?
It is no news that the Edo Elections Petitions Tribunal at the National Judicial Institute in Abuja has given the judgment between Aswe Igodalo versus INEC, Okpebolo, and the UDC. However, what is really circumstance about the aftermath of this judgment is that it has not only generated cross reactions in Edo State, but it has rather sparked up a rather spiral of silence over here in Edo State, most especially in Benin Metropolis, where I reside. Many, from the sampling of opinion thus far, a lot of persons seem to be very, very uninterested in the aftermath of the judgment. Many persons seem to be indifferent about the outcome of the judgment, because there was even a viral circular that went around social media pages a day before the judgment, that the judgment got leaked and that 2 out of the 3 judges controversially, allegedly, gave the judgment in favor of Senator Monday Okpebolo. However, the ripple effect from that circular is not far-fetched from the information, from the body language of the good people of Edo State, most especially we that are residing in Benin Metropolis. Edo people at this point seem to be mourning politically. Many persons across Benin City seem to be uninterested in the judgment, because some persons have even gone ahead to speak their minds that they actually thought that justice would be for Dr. Aswe Igodalo. Many persons from the other side have also said that due to the issue of technicalities in our legal and judicial system, that the principles of justice seem to be skewed towards one end that really do not help to reflect the collective patrimony, general interest, and as such, the collective democratic expectations from our legal system, which should reflect the yearnings and the general dreams and aspirations of the good people of Edo State. So from here, it is the few in APC celebrating and jubilating versus the majority of the populace gloomy and not happy with the situation currently in Edo State.
Let's also examine the technicalities of the judgment based on Section 137 of INEC's Electoral Act back in 2024.
In response to Section 137 of the Electoral Act, ex cathedra categorically that is, that the onus lies on the Independent National Electoral Commission to provide witnesses in a case of contestation where any of the aggrieved parties in an election seeks redress in a court of competent jurisdiction. However, if you look at section 72, subsection 1 and 2 of the Electoral Act, it states, and I quote, that the petitioner or the appellant shall not be liable to give oral witnesses in court in a case where the petitioner is able to provide written evidences in form of certified true copies from the Independent National Electoral Commission. So if we have a situation where if we have a situation where the PDP, which is the petitioner, we are able to provide the relevant certified true documents from INEC, which the director of ICT alluded and attested to in court, I feel that that portion of the Electoral Act clearly invalidates the issue of oral evidence in court. And if you look at the Electoral Act of Section 51, subsection 2, using case laws of Kennedy versus INEC, using case laws of Baba versus INEC, using case laws of Justin versus INEC, and also using case laws of Emeka Ihedioha versus Hope Odidika Uzodinma, they all read carefully that in the case of also non-serialization of ballot papers, that it is the duty of INEC to indicate the results at the unit and ward and local government level. And there were also cases of non-serialization of ballot papers, which were swept under the carpet, coupled with the fact that Section 72 says that if you tender a certified true copy of INEC's results in any election, that you don't really need to bring any oral evidence to substantiate your point, since rightly alluded to by the director of INEC, who attested to the fact that the documents in the PDP's certified true copy were not false. And that underscores the fact where INEC also failed to provide witnesses in court. And there is no section in the Constitution or in the Electoral Act that states that the petitioner must force INEC or its representative to produce or provide witnesses in court. So these are constitutional issues that are not just technical matters that should be paid closely attention to, because the image, the reputation, the future, and the general overview of the judiciary, the Nigerian judiciary, seems to be at stake here. And the Justice Oti Ikpeazu led Election Petitions Tribunal team has given a controversial judgment that is beginning to spark up cross reactions, not just within Edo State, not just within the Federal Republic of Nigeria, but across the globe. And we should also pay closely attention to the fact that in subsequent election petitions tribunal cases, using the instrumentality of the law, such a case might be cited as a judicial precedent, which may not also go down well with the majority of the people in any Nigerian society. And if you look at Section 14 of the Constitution, subsection A, it states, and I quote, that it is the duty of the government of the age to provide welfare for the people, which includes the legal instrumentation for judiciary that they use to provide law and security for the people. And Section 2B also says that democracy lies and resides with the people, on whose shoulders governance is on. So this issue of technicalities should not just be about the interested parties in court, but should be for the interest of the generality and the majority of the good people of Edo State. That INEC, in this regard, failed to adhere to its guidelines, and as such, is beginning to spark up cross reactions, not just within the length and breadth of Edo State, but across the country holistically.
Now, Bobby, the PDP and its candidates are going to the appeal court. How will this suit be properly tabled at the court?
Nobody can really say that he or she is confident of the judiciary right now with the way things are going in this country. If you look at the way, for instance, the way Siminala Fubara was suspended alongside other lawmakers from office, you will discover that many persons have criticized that suspension as a result of the failure of the president to adhere strictly to the relevant sections of the Constitution. And as such, many persons have gone to town to say that Dr. Asma Ighodalo should just forget about the case, that he should not bother to go to the appellate court, owing to the fact and the general feeling of the majority of Nigerians currently that the judiciary is tied to the political apron strings of the ruling class, especially those at the federal level. So we cannot continue to bask in the euphoria of failure. We cannot continue to progress in error. We cannot continue to call our democracy when the tenets are not strictly adhered to by the apparatus of state and those that are at the helm of affairs in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So going forward, I hope and I pray, we pray the appellate court to rise up to the occasion to rescue the already dwindling reputation of the Nigerian judiciary and also reduce the rate at which Nigerians now predict the outcome of cases in court. If you just mention any case about the judiciary now, they will tell you that the judiciary has already been bought by the political class. And the judiciary is supposed to be an independent arm of government that is devoid of partisan affiliations or political affinity or favoritism to any section of the political class in the Nigerian society. So for we in Edo State, we are praying earnestly that the judiciary should revisit this issue of the petition that will be officially filed before it, and that they should put the general interest of the majority of the good people of Edo State. The Court of Appeal should understand that this is no longer about politics, but it's all about posterity, it's all about sanity in our democracy, it's all about the sanctity of truth in our governance, and it's all about elevating the democratic tenets that will in turn transform not just Edo State, but the Nigerian society from a crippling state to a state of El Dorado that will now be the Nigeria of our dreams.
Now, of course, all eyes are on the appeal court if the tides will change in favor of your candidate. What's your final thoughts before we go?
My closing thoughts on this issue and my two-kobo piece is that whatever the political interest is, whether from the national level, from the state level, from any sphere of governance, the political class should not put the reputation of this great nation in shambles. The Nigerian judiciary should rise up to the occasion and begin to act like an independent arm of government that is not affiliated to any political party or tied to the apron strings of the political class in Nigeria. Nigeria should be a safe haven for the citizenry to reside in. Nigeria should be a nation where there is adequate security, job opportunities for the people, dividends of democracy for the masses, and effective, efficient, utilitarian, productive, profound, and very, very, very lucid leadership for the citizenry. Because what we are witnessing in this country now, many persons are beginning to liken it to a civilian tyranny. Some have also said that Nigerians are beginning to witness democracy in theory and autocracy in practical. So we need a situation where the apparatus of states and the leadership structure and architecture of this country will give us the true Nigeria of our dreams, a Nigeria where there is no insecurity, a Nigeria where there is no tribalism, a Nigeria where there is no segregation, a Nigeria where there is no sectionalism in political affairs, a Nigeria where the judiciary is truly independent, a Nigeria where the legislative arm makes laws for the generality of the country, a Nigeria where the Senate, which is the hope of the common man in terms of legislative affairs, gives adequate policies and programs that will help to better the lot of the good people of Nigeria. And a Nigeria where the executive arm will not continue to hijack other arms of government pocket them and make them become politically insignificant. We need a Nigeria for all and not a Nigeria for a few. Thank you very much.
Once again, thank you so much for your time, Bobby.
You're welcome, sir. It's always a pleasure.